Yeah. So let's see. Next, we have Patricia from New Mexico. So hello there, Patricia. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you two doing?
Very good. Thanks.
Very good. Great. Yeah. So what did you want to talk about today?
So I wanted to call in because I saw that Dr. Ray was going to be on, and I just kind of wanted to give an example to people of why things like the Secular Therapy Project are so important because I myself, um, my journey out of religion was prolonged by several years because of interactions I had with a therapist. Um, Back when I was in high school, I suffered a lot with depression and anxiety and self-harm. And I remember being in a session with her and she was asking me, like, well, what do you believe in any sort of higher power? And I said, I don't know. And she was like, well, do you believe, what did your parents raise you with? I said, they raised me Catholic. She's like, well, do you believe in that God? And I was like, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't really agree with the morals. And she was like, well, what? She started listing things off. Do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in angels? Do you believe in spirits? And I was very overwhelmed, and I just kept telling her, I don't know. And she basically told me that that was probably the root of my depression and my anxiety was the fact that I didn't believe in anything, I should work on that in order to fix my anxiety and depression. So I ended up going into a non-denominational, like evangelical church for a while. I almost converted to Islam. It took me several years before someone finally told me that it was okay to say I don't know. And I
Wow.
think if I had had access to something like the Secular Therapy Project, I probably could have gotten to that a whole lot sooner. So I want to thank you for having that resource out there so that hopefully other people don't have to deal with what I did.
Patricia, that is like criminal. Any therapist with any level of training should know better than that. That's just that's just terrible. Thank you for calling and thank you for highlighting that. That is the whole reason we created the Secular Therapy Project because there's so many poorly trained therapists, or worse yet, therapists with an agenda to bring you back to Jesus or to get
Mm-hmm.
you back into some kind of belief structure. And it sounds like that's what you were facing. And the average person does, when they walk in the therapist's office, does not know what kind of therapist this is and whether they have an agenda, whether they've got a religious or spiritual new age. I mean, there's all sorts of hazards, and they actually cause more depression. I mean, we see so many people coming to us like you, Patricia. They made my problem worse. They made me go back to church. They made me believe new crazy things that I wouldn't even have thought about before. So I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
It just breaks my heart.
oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, yeah, because I'm a queer person myself, and I grew up in a family that was, they called themselves cafeteria Catholics, so we weren't particularly strict. My family was pretty welcome, like accepting of me, but I ended up going to this very homophobic evangelical church, and for at least a year or two, tried to convince myself that I could pretend to be straight
Uh huh.
because I'm pansexual. So it was like I am technically attracted to men. So if I just completely ignore this other part of myself, then I can, continue in this religion and please God and get into heaven and not die
Right.
and burn in hell forever. So like because of this therapist, I tried to pretend to be someone I wasn't for a long time.
And that's just self-destructive. It sooner or later, the conflict inside your own mind is going to drive you to bad things. So I'm glad to hear you figured that out
Yeah.
and got out. And if you'd like a community that
Yes.
we have an entire group of people that are in exactly the same position you are or we're in, you go to recoverfromreligion.org and hit the chat button and talk to one of our agents and say, I'd like to join the community. Tell them Daryl sent you. Because we have thousands of people, literally thousands of people in our various internal, they're private communities. You can only get in by coming to one of our chat line agents and asking to get in that way, because we don't want any trolls. It's a very safe environment. And we've got a whole channel just for LGBTQ people. So you would be very welcome in there, and you'd find a lot of friends, a lot of people that went through the same shit you went through.
Awesome. I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take up too much of y'all's time. I just wanted to say thank you, Dr. Ray, for everything that you and the Recovering from Religion Foundation are doing, because I know that it's helping people.
Great. Thanks for calling in and saying that. That just makes my day. I appreciate your saying that.
Thank you for having me. Y'all have a great night.
Good night.
All right. Thank you, Patricia. You have a good night, too.
Hello, sinners. It's me, and you're watching The Line. Hit that subscribe button and consider ringing that bell, because if you do, an angel will get its wings.